On the last episode of Jorkler's Fandom, Jorkler gave you a lengthy overview of The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. It was a great success and forever changed the Zelda community. But in keeping with the channel's commitment to discussing all aspects of popular culture, Jorkler has decided to rank all of the American and Japanese intros of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Kai, and Dragon Ball Super. The ranking begins now. We'll start off with the bottom of the proverbial barrel. This was the intro for the ultimate uncut redubs of the Saiyan and Namek sagas done by Funimation in 2005. No lyrics here, just 2 minutes of obnoxious music, and oh no, apparently the person who made the intro was a big Virtual Boy fan. It's basically unwatchable and features flashing lights that would make Porygon blush. I remember when the Ultimate Uncut episodes were airing, and after a couple times sitting through this chore of an intro, I quit watching and decided I'd just wait for the DVD instead. Speaking of which... this is the opening that is featured on Funimation's DVDs of Dragon Ball Z, starting with the movies and then later the Orange Bricks. Essentially, this is Cha-La had Cha-La, except Funimation decided American audiences wouldn't want to listen to Japanese singing, so they gave us some more generic music. Because the last song didn't give us enough of that. Oh well, at least this one spared us the mid-2000s edge. That's about it, not much more to say about this one. Fight It Out was the international opening of DBZ Kai: The Final Chapters, and countries outside of Japan definitely got the short end of the stick. I recently got Kai on Blu-ray and was excited for Kuzen Zetsu Go, only to be greeted with this potato. This song is forgettable, low energy, and sounds like an ABBA reject. I don't know if sedate is a word typically used to describe songs, but I think it fits here. You can also definitely tell that Masatoshi Ono is not a native English performer, but hats off to him for trying his best.
Witness the ultimate battle between the greatest of warriors in all the worlds.
Take the Grand Tour, GT!
Step Into the Grand Tour is basically a meme at this point. It's dripping with early 2000s wannabe coolness and features a rap metal song by Marcus Hall, aka Shorty the Man. But, it's weirdly memorable in a way. I'm not saying it's good. Step Into the Grand Tour is very, very cheesy, but it isn't without its charm as a time capsule of what the dubbing studios would have considered marketable to kids in 2003, as they tried to bring in a new generation of fans. Hall gave an interview about how the song came together that I'll link in the description. It's a good read. The more recent home video releases of GT do away with this, so now all we have is YouTube videos and memes to remember it by.
Long ago, 7 Dragon Balls were forged and scattered over the face of the planet. Once united, the Eternal Dragon will be called forth to grant the Discoverer a single wish.
Dragon Ball, gotta find that Dragon Ball.
This is a very obscure song, and served as the intro for the original dub of Dragon Ball's first 13 episodes by the Ocean Group. Back in 1995, anime was all but unheard of in North America, so localizing one of the most popular Japanese shows of all time meant making it palatable for kids of the mid-90s. You can definitely sense that in this song, which sounds a lot like the openings to various Saturday morning cartoons from its era, but it's catchy and manages to sum up pretty well what early Dragon Ball was about. It's hilariously dated today, But even more so than Step Into the Grand Tour, it has a lot of charm as a relic of its time. Bruce Faulconer gets a lot of crap from American fans, especially those who prefer an experience more authentic to the original Japanese version, and those who became fans after the early 2000s, but this is a decent opening. It gets you hyped up for the episode while showing off all the major characters. There are a couple different versions of this opening for different sagas in the series, but the music stays pretty much the same. No lyrics in this one, just lots of synth and electric guitar. Most fans seem to have a love it or hate it relationship with Faulconer's music, but as an intro piece, it does the job. Starting at this point on the list, I legitimately enjoy all of the songs left. While international viewers got that piece of garbage Fight It Out as the Kai Final Chapter's opening, Japan got to enjoy Kuzen Zetsu Go, an upbeat, high-energy, and fast-paced piece that I don't really have a whole lot to say about. It's a good song. Toei should have let the rest of the world enjoy it too. I'm not sure how exactly a piece of music can be nostalgic sounding, but Chozet's dynamic definitely qualifies. It's very mellow for what you'd expect a Dragon Ball Super intro to sound like, but it's pleasant. It feels like a welcome home ballad for the series. The reason it isn't higher is that it doesn't really fit super well after the first dozen or so episodes. The tone works for the early parts of Super, but it is still the intro as late as the Zamasu arc, by which time it feels worn out. The performer Kazuya Yoshii does both the Japanese and English versions of the song, and while his English version doesn't quite hold up, his native Japanese performance lands it exactly in the middle of the list. Not long after the attempt to localize Dragon Ball in 1995, Dragon Ball Z was successfully brought to American audiences thanks to Funimation and the Ocean Group. The first two sagas of DBZ were edited and given a new musical score, courtesy of Shuki Levy, the man behind the Power Rangers music. And you can definitely hear that in this song, which, while not having very many lyrics, is energetic, catchy, and without a doubt helped Dragon Ball Z become the massive worldwide phenomenon it is today. This one might be controversial. Dan Dan is generally considered one of the best songs by Dragon Ball fans, and rightfully so. It's a great song, but I don't think it fits GT very well. I think they were going for something bittersweet sounding as a goodbye to the series, and it kind of works. When it is used in the final episode, it's legitimately a great moment in Dragon Ball history. But GT is honestly so depressing that I'm not sure the use of the song as its standard bearer for 64 episodes sticks the landing. I doubt any song could have overcome the material it was handed as part of GT, but Dan Dan is probably about the best they could have done. I'm probably not the first person to notice this, but Dan Dan and Dragon Soul are very similar sounding songs. Dragon Soul is a bit more up-tempo, and I think it fits Kai better than Dan Dan fits GT. When Toei was developing the intro for Kai, I'd imagine they wanted something that was representative of DBZ in general. And while they very easily could have just remastered Chala Had Chala and called it a day, this intro instead wraps up the first 2/3 of DBZ in a song that manages to sound nostalgic, exciting, and hopeful all at once, and with gorgeous visuals to boot. I really like We Gotta Power. It tends to get overshadowed by Chala Had Chala, especially since both were sung by Hironobu Kageyama, but it's very memorable in its own right. Most of the intro shows great Saiyaman and other characters from the early Buu saga, although, just like with Chozette's dynamic, it doesn't mesh as well once major villains like Babidi and Majin Buu show up. But We Gotta Power deserves more love and recognition, and I wish I could put it higher. It had a bitchin' orchestral remix in DBZ Kakarot, too. Maka Fushigi Adventure is the song that kicked off everything and set the tone for the rest of the franchise, along with helping to define a generation of anime intros. While it definitely sounds like something from the mid-80s, it has so much charm and captures the whimsical fun of the original Dragon Ball series. And I'd argue it fits just as well in the first episode of the series as it does at the very end. This was also the first intro to be dubbed into English, and for a first attempt, it isn't bad, helping introduce English-speaking viewers to the series' original Japanese songs and musical score. Chala Had Chala codified what we think of when we hear the phrase anime opening. It's upbeat, shows the main characters having fun, while also giving a hint of the adventure and action that is to come in the episode. It even has random English phrases peppered throughout that shows like South Park have since parodied. It's so ingrained in the collective consciousness of not only Dragon Ball fans, but anime fans in general, that there isn't much else to say about it, other than that it is a worthy intro to one of the most beloved shows of all time. Now you're probably thinking, wait, you put Chala Had Chala only in second? Does that mean that other song from Super is your favorite? Well, yes. Yes, it does. While Chala Had Chala represents the best of what Dragon Ball intros have been, Genkai Toppa X Survivor represents what they could be. For the first time in Dragon Ball history, an intro was created that perfectly represents the saga it belongs to, in this case, the Universe Survival Arc. While I could ramble for an entire other video about how the Tournament of Power is my favorite storyline in Dragon Ball probably since the Frieza saga, I'll focus mostly on how well this intro represents it. This intro shows off all the major characters in the arc, and actually changes after a few episodes to reflect the big twist of Frieza replacing Buu as part of the Universe 7 team. Ending themes change more frequently than intros, especially in Super, so creating an intro for just one story arc is a major shift. And it serves as a motif for the entire arc, as Sumitomo integrates the song's music very well into the soundtrack, and you can hear it at pivotal points in the story, like when Vegeta faces Jiren. The song itself is very energetic, painting a picture of an epic battle royale to decide the fate of the universe, and is one I find myself coming back to quite often. It also inspired an excellent Super Smash Bros. Fan adaptation, which I urge you to check out. When the anime returns, I'm interested to see what kind of intro the Moro arc will have. It doesn't need to have the same tone as Genkai Toppa, but I hope it has the same level of care and attention it paid to the arc and its tone. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this ranking. As with most things on YouTube, this is all subjective. Let me know in the comments if there's an intro you would have higher or lower, or even if there's one I forgot, although I think I got all of them for America and Japan at least. And please remember to like the video and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.